Hello, my beautiful Hiran, and welcome to the PR show, A Strong Opinion in a Strong Voice. So,
Hello,
my
dear
beautiful
people.
Hiran, my favorite person in the whole world.
And my favorite person in the whole
I'm
world.
honored. I've been waiting for this interview since forever because it's just so fascinating. Even though we're friends, I mean, the audience doesn't know that, but even though we're friends, I didn't really hear any of this part of this story, your life story. So I too am looking forward to hearing. It's going to be for the first time for me as well to hear it, not just for the audience. So
Yes.
whenever you're ready, you
Yes,
might
I'm
want to
very
tell a little bit about yourself, where you come from, and
sure.
just whatever you want.
Yes, sure. I'm Hiran. I'm 27. I'm originally from Kurdistan, Iraq. And I live now in Germany. I moved to Germany, and actually, it's an honor to be on this show. Just for the audience, I'm very happy just to share some stuff from my life. And I think we can always learn from each other in life. And yeah, I have.
Would you like to tell a little bit about your background in terms of the country? Because some people may not exactly know the history, and that really just gives a very set frame of
Yes.
why things are the way things are.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, I'm originally Kurdish from Kurdistan, Iraq. As many people know, that there's not a country as Kurdistan anymore.
But
But
it's a nation. It's a really nation.
yes,
They are
yes,
not part of Iraq. They are just, because of the geopolitically they are part, but they are really not from that nation, right?
yes, yes. And we're like 47 million Kurds without an official country around the world. And this is my background.
47 million.
47 million. Yes.
Whoa. That's
Yes.
almost
Yeah.
5 times as much as my population.
Wow.
And did you notice, my dear, that I have used this background in your honor? Because the audience doesn't know that, but we actually have the same flag. We have
Yes.
a
Yes.
very, very similar flag: red, white, and green. And
Love it.
also the aspects of it, the representation of each color is similar, very similar to yours.
True, true. And yes, it's like with the sun with us, but also these colors, it represents, I think, both nations, your nation and my nation. So it's amazing.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, yeah.
So you were about talk about your country, how it came about, and your
Mhm.
nation, where they come from.
Exactly. And they're where I am from. And like few years ago, I have grown up a bit here, and then we went back to Kurdistan, Iraq, and then I decided, for study wise and working wise, to come back to Germany. It's about more than 7 years ago, and there my life has continued in this country. I'm a German citizen, and yeah, and today, like, we're gonna talk about actually just out of my life. And actually, a lot of people ask me why why I am shining so much. Like I
You
always say.
certainly do. That's the very, very first thing I think people, when they meet you, that's the very first thing that is just
Yeah,
unmistakable. The joy you have. I mean, it's more than happiness. People
yeah,
can be
yeah.
happy because they bought a new car or bought a new nail polish, or they,
Mhm.
got involved with someone new. But the joy you have is something that's deep inside, and it just wells up, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's so real that people are in a lot of situations, they have been so touched by this joy that they ask, how is it? How is it that you can shine? How is it that even people that know some situation and challenges, they say, okay, you're still smiling. How is it? And it's amazing how the things worked up. And today I'm going to share about why I am still shining.
Good. We need to hear that, especially these day and age, don't we?
Yes. Yes. And we all know that these days things are not stable. People are not stable. Nations are not stable.
Economy is up and down. It's an emotional roller coaster for most people,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes. It's like always like this. And then to know the secret to have a more stable life, this is today how I got to that point, and I am all still on that process to be on that point. I'm going to share with you
Wonderful.
guys this. Yeah, I would start with some stuff out of my life, which are all true story. Some people are sometimes shocked because when they hear it, they're like, okay, this is so intense. When I went back actually to Kurdistan, Iraq, there has been happening a lot of traumas. A lot of people I have lost, dear people to me. And I will start from the age of 9, when my dear uncle actually was like, I have been growing up with him. He has been a very great artist. Actually, he was been a painter. And actually his own friends, because he was rich, and we are actually from a wealthy family, we're from a business family. And because he was just known and he was so giving, his own best friends murdered him from today to tomorrow. Yes. And they murdered him. One was like, and this is like where you can see that I have been experiencing when people backstab you. One person actually was, while they took him, one person was just hugging my uncle, so he does not know, just hugging out of friendship, and the other just shot him. And that was, when I was at the age of 9, and at age around 9-ish, 10.
Were you present when that took place?
I was not present, but I saw him the one day beforehand, like one day before.
Yeah, one day before it happened.
And and I could never say bye to him because I was like, on that day, I was not in a good mood, and I left. And when he was at my mom's house, so I never could have the chance to say goodbye to him. And after that,
are these people now in prison? I hope
they are in prison for life. Yeah,
okay,
they are for life in prison. And this is not how it stopped. It did not stop by this loss. 3 to 5 years afterwards, my cousin, at the age of 17, fall off their new house that they were building, and he died right away. I'm just sharing with you guys some
one
facts.
trauma after the other.
One after the other, yes. And then when I was in school, a dear friend of mine, and this is one of the things that has been very much affecting me, is I was in school. I was in Kurdistan, Iraq. I was in a school, and actually my best friend, he was a guy, like out of a sudden, because there were some pressures and some stuff, but until today we don't know why he did it. I can tell you now what it was. He did it on the 1st of March. He in classroom killed my teacher and himself. And this is where I saw, and this is the first time on the web.
You were present when it actually
happened. I was present. Yes, I was present.
Was it with a gun or something?
Yes, it was with a gun. He shot my teacher, which was from the country, and then himself. And that was where the shock, like the real shock, began.
Of course. How old you were at the time?
I was 16.
16.
Yes.
And why did he
16, 17.
Do that?
We never know. Until today, we don't know. Very lovely guy, very nice guy. We don't know, but it's the first time that I am coming out and talking about it. So these things, and after, this is very weird, because after 4 months, a childhood friend was stabbed to death in Sweden. And, these things in a row were continuing until a few years ago, a friend of mine, also from that school, she was drowned just by swimming in the river. So in my life, there was a trauma of losing people.
Yes, of course.
It happened, I lost people. I like, the anxiety has been building up. anxiety and just this brokenness and thinking, oh my goodness, bad things happen. Oh my goodness, every few years things happen. And I sense that at some point I lost my joy. I did not have joy
Of course,
anymore.
I mean, it's very understandable.
Yeah, yeah. And excuse me. And it was that actually made me, where at a point I first I was not letting it out. It was all in. I did not share it with people. I like panic attacks were being built up. Like every morning I would wake up like being nervous, like every single morning. And I thought that I'm
Because you
losing.
never knew what that day would hold. And you,
Yes.
because of
Yeah.
your experience,
Yes.
it was
Yes.
like only something bad's going to happen. Something's bad going to happen, right?
Yes, true, true. And this is how my life was until I was like at the end of the end. Now I'm 27. It was only a few years ago where I got this turn.
Yes.
I was at the end of the end. I by that time I was 24, excuse me. I was 24, experiencing all these losses, and something had to change. I knew something has to change. And
Were
there
you
was
living by then in Germany?
I came back to Germany to 2014. Yes.
So by then you were in Germany when you thought, okay, this has to end.
Yes, I came back to Germany and I saw, and that was also not easy. The culture again changed, and things that I did, people did not understand. Just the way, the warm culture of the Kurdish people could not understand that. And it was, for me, it was culture change, although it was by my will that I came back. And then also like all this trauma and anxiety. So my life was like a roller coaster. My mood was like a roller coaster.
Of course, because also, of course, you never dealt with that trauma.
Yes.
You didn't receive any help. Even
No.
one would have been enough, let alone so many.
Yes. Not even one help, you know. And
Yeah.
then
Did you
2000.
not, I'm sorry, did you not have any chance to look for help in Kyrgyzstan, or you just didn't even think of it? Maybe it's not in the culture to look for
It
help.
was not in the culture, to be honest. It's nowadays it's being better, that people are more open about it, but you don't have we didn't, in the like few years ago, didn't have those chances to share that, because and I think like most of the students did not work on that until I hear from few people that they did work on that. So out of that, I did not work on that, although I am coming from a family where they made everything possible. I had no joy. And this is what I say. It's like, I always say, it's of course nicer to cry in a Mercedes than on a bike, but it does not buy your happiness. You cannot buy that.
Right. Sadness is really
joy.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where, and then 2017, I said, okay, this is it. I cannot do this anymore like this. And this is where I'm gonna turn to what were the steps I did. So what I can think other people can do as well. When I have experienced those stuff, how much more can other people just use it out of those experiences, and just those things, that those points that they can use as well. And you guys, and we all can use that as well. And I'm going to share with that. Actually, 2017 was the year where I decided I'm going to get help, professional help. Where I said, okay, no more this way. I am willing and I am honest that I do need help. And so I started just in the natural to go to a psychiatry, and have some psychologists helping me wise to deal with the trauma. And of course it was like a process of few years. It was not just like today to tomorrow and everything is gone, but it was a process which at the beginning I like, because when you deal with the stuff from the past, it's like they're there again.
Yeah.
And I had to deal with it because I was like, do I want to deal with it, or do I want to change, to have a life of peace? You know, Christians and people say that you can have a life of peace. So I was like, okay, I want to have this peace. And this is a few points I'm gonna now just share. What was the first point that I did was, number one, it was to be honest and to be humble, and that to say, I need it today. The help starts from today, not to tomorrow, like a diet. We say my diet starts from tomorrow, and then the other day it's tomorrow, and then the other day it's tomorrow. Mm-hmm. The first point is, be honest to yourself. Be honest to yourself, to your friends, to your family, and just seek out for help.
Did anybody know this situation about you in Germany?
I mean, my friends could see the outcome.
But they didn't know the reasons.
The reasons they did know, actually. They did know, but not that much in detail. One of my mentors knew about it, but which he is a pastor, but they did not know that much in detail. And all the panic attacks, few friends knew, because I had to have a friend of mine actually sleeping at my bedside, because I would wake up out of nightmares and panic attacks. So like for a half a year, which that person I'm working now with, she was just there so I can sleep in and then wake up and not have like panic. Mm. So yeah, the first step is just be honest, be humble, say, hey, I need help. I think the strongest thing is a person that can say is that they are honest. Honesty is a very, very strong weapon we can use. Well, of course, we should be wise to who and how.
Yes.
But honesty to yourself is something very, very important.
You have to face with reality, and the reality is that you need help at the time.
Of course. And they were coming up one after the other. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, I was like just a broken rack, and I was just broken. And I functioned, and I could not be by myself. I'm a person, I love people. Really love people. I love to be around people. But at that time, I could not be alone. And that was something wrong. That if you cannot be alone, then something, like there is something going on. Like even an hour, it was like, because flashbacks were coming up, like at the time when I would be alone. So that's why I could even not be alone, and there was always no time for me to reflect, because I had to be with someone. So it was like from tragedy to be in an output always, and not to have time for myself, mm-hmm. because I couldn't,
It's almost like you're hiding from yourself.
Yeah.
Hiding from the past, hiding for how it affected you. And mm-hmm. I'm sure many people do that. So it will help a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yeah, and and I was like doing everything, and sometimes we can help people or we think we're helping people in order to run away from our own.
Yes, to avoid ourselves.
Yes, and then we can see they're not effective, mm-hmm. as it would have been if we would help first ourselves. And so, that's the first point. So the second point that I just want to share is to be willing, to have purpose. Why am I going to do this? And I am willing to have your why. For me, my why was to come out of it. And since I believe in God, that I know he has a plan for my life, and a good plan. I had to figure that out too, that he has a good plan, that I had to have a purpose, to know, okay, this is my purpose, actually. And even at that point, when I decided, it's so funny, but maybe some folks can relate to this, that I was afraid to lose my anxiety.
How is that possible?
How is that possible? Because I thought it is me. I thought it has been so much over years. And to anyone that I'm talking to right now, maybe you know this feeling. It was so much. I thought it is part of me because it was so present. I thought if this is gone, that I might be gone. I am not myself maybe anymore.
You didn't know what's behind that. You didn't know what's there.
True.
Wow, this is powerful.
Yeah, and this is what I thought. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm afraid to lose my afraidness, and
because that was familiar. That was a familiar feeling for you. So you were almost in fear of losing something that was familiar to you, even though it was bad. It was just a familiar feeling.
Yeah. And this was the thing. I was so familiar to it, but the decision I made was, I am willing, and I have a purpose in life. I am not just here to watch people die off. I am here for a purpose. So the second thing, as I said again, is to be willing and to have a purpose. So this is, and to how to start. Maybe people will say, how shall I start? There is so much going on. I would say the second point, like you can write down to B, is just write down the areas where you think and you know you need help. Write that down very plainly. Just grab a paper and a pen and, just write it down. Just let it flow. Even maybe it's just one word, just write one word down. If it's then 3 words, you can see, like, when you start writing down, and it might take some time, but just see how, this is what I did. I wrote down what I want that it gets better. For example, I wrote down that my anxiety. So I did that also in the psychologist helped me with that as well. I wrote down the level of anxiety, that I don't want to wake up anymore in the morning, to have those panic attacks, or that I have joy again. I wrote that one down, and many other things. So write that actually down. What are the areas you need help, or we need help with?
When you write that, it becomes clear to you, right?
Yes, it becomes clear to you, and all these thoughts are coming. We all know that when we don't control our thoughts, they can come just like this and that. So write also, one thing that helped me a lot is those critical sentences. When you have been in trauma, or you have actually experienced things in the past, critical sentences of other people that said that to you, or you say that to you, can come up very quickly the whole time. So write those critical sentences down. I will let you know what you can do afterwards with it. So one of the things to be is write it down. And the third thing is get help. Just get help. When you want change, it requires change. And
how do you know who to turn to? Because there are so many people out there claiming that they are, and they probably are good, but they may not be good for you. So how did you, based on what did you make a decision to go to this particular person and get help?
Yeah, what I did was looked what are the thought sources around me. For example, with a psychologist, I looked, okay, is there a place, a hospital I can turn into? And then also, since I believe in God, I also prayed. I said, hey, you see, God, that I need help. Jesus, just help me. And then I saw like things where, like, when in the past I just would maybe drive off, it stuck out to me.
Okay.
And so, for example, the hospital, and then also other people, and also you nowadays you have a lot of, you can Google, you can use books, but the most important thing is to have someone that is trustable.
Trustworthy, yes.
Trustworthy, and maybe you can turn to a friend at the beginning, but don't let it be and stay at that friend, because friends, they can help us, but they cannot save us. And this is what I think is very important, that we share things with friends, but that we are going to look for what are really people that are knowing in this professionally in this areas. What can you do? So in the internet, and as I said, it was that. And then 2018 for me, one of the, like, I did my, so I was finished by then, the clinical part where I would go every day. It was a daily clinical. And then I turned to a normal psychologist. And so at that time, it was 2018, where I met Dr. Charles in Germany, and he's living in America, and he's a speaker, and a businessman, and also a pastor, and where he has been affecting many people. So what I did, it was like, just because a friend told me, go to a meeting like this, just go and see what happens. So it was 2018 where I met actually Dr. Charles, and the way he spoke, it was positivity, that we have a purpose in life. And it was a new thing in my ear that someone talks that way. And I said, okay, if this is true, if I see him with such authentic authority and happiness and joy, I can have that too.
Mm-hmm. So he was a very credible person.
Yes. And it was astonishing to me how it was shining. It was like just, it was like he was just shining, and his smile was so real. And so I was like, okay, if that person has it, I can have it too. So, and then I prayed to God, and he helped me. And so what God did is, through him, changed my perspective. Mm-hmm. My perspective was being changed. And what I did is, and this is where we come back to 2B, the critical sentences that I believed in the past, I turned the opposite. I said the opposite of those. Mm-hmm. For example, if I would say, I am not worthy, I always fail, what I did, and I learned that from actually Dr. Charles, you say the victorious things. It is possible. I am victorious. I will not fail. I will win in whatever I do.
You replace those negative thoughts with the positive ones.
Exactly.
And you even spoke it out loud, right?
And that's the point.
Very important.
What we hear, people, this is very simple. It's no rocket science. What we hear affects us. In the past, those critical sentences, they came from somewhere. So what we hear and what we say affects our life. Psychologists, the science has been proven that what you hear and what you speak, you become like that. It's like
Because you believe it.
yes, and you believe it, and it's you start believing it. It's there's a sentence they say, you are what you eat. Actually, of what you hear and what you speak, that person you become. So I started to say, okay, what are the thoughts? I'm gonna speak the opposite. Every single morning I woke up, I wrote those sentences down, and then I spoke it over myself. I spoke it that I'm victorious, that I am beautiful, that I will not lose people. And by the way, because I even in the past spoke be losing people, I saw that even if they would not die, I would lose them in another way. So I cut that. I said, I'm not losing people. The only way I'm gonna win with people. I'm gonna gain people.
That's
and,
right.
And
you will gain the right people. That's most important as well.
Yes.
Yesterday we had this show with the Kingdom Embassy Budapest, and you might want to check that. That was exactly how to make sure that you have the right people around yourself. And that was one of the things that we have discussed in great detail. So that's interesting that you are bringing it up.
It's amazing. Very cool, because I'm going to turn to that point where I had to see what people am I surrounded with.
Wow. That's word for word our whole yes topic.
Yes.
For 2 hours straight, people are like saying. And yeah, we are very much in tune.
Yes, amen. And then it's like I then ask number 4 is begin to change your surrounding. That means look, what are the friends? How do they speak? How are these people? How do they speak? What are your surrounding? Who are your friends? Because it says the 5 friends you have, like them you will be.
Yes.
Even we have books from a few thousand years ago. The Bible says that. Philosophical people say that. The 5 people you are the closest person to, the 6th person you will be like them. So I had to make changes and arrangements with friendships, with contacts, and to know, okay, these people are not people who are raising me up. They're actually, and maybe they are not meaning it bad, but they are pushing me down.
The key is not so much about their, doubting them, their benevolence, but sometimes they are just, for the lack of a better word, they are dumb. They would say the first thing that comes into their heads because they don't know any better. But nevertheless, it does affect us, isn't it?
Of course. And
so you have to look at the bottom line at some point. Does it edify me, or does it in fact pushes me down further where I already am needing help?
True.
So
yeah.
And not good even for someone who doesn't have those traumatic experience that you came from, but just by in and of itself, are they building me up? Are they edifying me? Are they bringing me closer to my destiny, away from the trauma? Or they are in fact strengthening that I want to get away from?
Yes. And those days, actually, in days like this, you will know who your true friends are. And I had to make arrangements to see what are those people, like very, very classical example. So you get it, like, are these people in general, when I spend time with them, am I feeling worse? Or am I feeling built up and say, okay, there is hope?
That's a very good one. And I'm glad you put that point in, because it's a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual connection, because there I have even experienced it, even though I'm not particularly susceptible to what people think, or what, but somehow your spirit picks up these atmospheres or these vibes, if you will. Very modern term, vibes, but these are spiritual things. So even though they may say the right words, your spirit can detect what's behind those words. And they may be actually the opposite than what they said.
Yeah.
So I give you an example because it's really interesting that
Please.
the other day I was speaking with someone. I was talking to someone, I think last week or so, and the person seemed very, very nice. And I had to spend a few hours with her and just listening to her, giving her advices, and, just sharing and just fellowshipping with her. And she, by every outward appearance, she seemed a very positive person. Her message was positive. I didn't know her, by the way. I just met her for the first time, and we spent some time together. And very, very interesting. And I don't even remember ever feeling this way. I walked away from that conversation almost depressed, even though everything's, this is so, I mean, this is so not me. And I know it's not coming from me because I'm not like that at all. And I just was in a very bad mood for hours after this. I'm like, what just happened? Because it's not something you would expect. So, but this taught me something, that even though they may project seemingly the right image, they use the right words, she was smiling all the time. And even that, to me, that was like, I'm not saying red flag, but it was like, it just wasn't real to me that she would always smile, always. I mean, I don't even know her face, how it looks without the smile, because she was always smiling. And that was just over the top. It's almost like she was trying to hide something behind those beautiful smiles and, with the nice words. I don't know what's going on still today with her life, and maybe it's not even for me to find out. But just to say and to confirm what you said, that I just been through that experience probably for the first time in my life. And I had to stop and think that, you know what, maybe she's not that positive of a person after all, even though she does seem like that. And she's probably a well-meaning person, but whatever is around her and in her comes across, and my spirit picks it up in a way, and it's not positive. So
no, we can see
probably
that.
going to keep my distance from her from now.
That would be wise. Yes.
Yeah.
And
so these things are real, because these things are spiritual things,
Of course, and it is even being in the science, it has been proven, all these things, these frequencies and whatever, how you can.
I'm glad you mentioned. Yes, very true. Everybody has a frequency.
Yeah, everyone has like a power that comes out, if it's a good power or not.
Yeah.
And just because someone is smiling, as you say, it does not mean positivity comes out right away.
Yeah.
And to be honest, for example, Dr. Charles has been sometimes saying truthful stuff that it was not in the beginning saying, yay. It was like, it's like, going for a walk and going run. It's not like pleasant to our flesh at the beginning.
Yes.
But when we continue to it, for what cause it is. And for example, I gave my trust to that honorable man, and just listening to his messages, it built me up. I began listening to him more than I would be listening. Oh, by the way, music to those sad musics, I stopped. I began to know my surrounding. What am I watching? What am I listening? Like even with music and all these stuff. And I began with this man, which I knew it was true. Sometimes he spoke things that did not feel very comfortable at the beginning, but I knew what cause it was for.
And also because, he speaks in love.
Yes.
So whatever, correction is needed, but correction in love is what opens your heart, isn't it? So however, Dr. Charles and Defon will talk about, I'm going to put up his descriptions in the description line, and you guys can all find him. He's a wonderful man, and you guys need to follow him. And he's also my man of God. So I can say from experience that very true, whatever you say, because many times, of course, he would correct us, but he would correct us and he would speak the truth in love, which is exactly what the Bible says, that we ought to speak the truth in love. And that's why it doesn't hurt, because that the reason why he says that, to make you bigger, better, faster, more, never to push you down or to pull you down in any way. And just as you said, sometimes some of these things are hard to take in, but when you see someone's heart behind it, then of course you can open your heart, and that will cause changes in you. So
yes, and that's the thing. Like out of love, and you will know who loves you. you know, your spirit knows.
Very true.
Just be like, just be like an x-ray, just be in that mode, know that, and your spirit will know by time. Give it time and you will know. So I started more of that, and I also started to honor those friends that actually want to pull me up, and this push me up, and just to believe the best in me. And has been a very good step. So the fourth point was begin to change your surrounding. So I did change my surrounding, and this is where the switch came from. And like, people were not recognizing me anymore from day to day. This is like from Dr. Charles, it began like to speak those positive things. What, for example, also the Bible has a lot of positive things it says about us. I began to write those down and speak it all of myself and to listen to it. So
it's not enough just to read the Bible. Is that what you're saying?
No, you cannot. It's the thing is, you can read a book and have no connection to it. Exactly. And just you put it away and you think, oh, I know this. You think you know it, but do you really know?
We don't read the Bible for information, is what you're saying, right?
Yes, you live it. And as people believing in the Bible, the more I read the Bible, the more I see myself in it.
Yes.
So how cool is it to see and to look in the mirror and to see how I am going to be?
Exactly.
Spoiler alert.
Positive message again, because you're reading it, and someone put it this way: while you're reading the Bible is reading you.
Yes, true.
And there's no other book who would do that, right? There's no other book that would do that. Not even psychological or, like targeted books like that.
No,
never do that. Yeah.
No, and this is where my switch also is like part of it, or the main part, the foundation part, is I read it and I wrote down all these good things that God has thoughts about us, and I began to speak it over myself, so I can hear myself, my own voice. So I've changed my surrounding. I changed my mornings. I changed my night before going to sleep.
Very, very, very good point. I'm glad you mentioned that. Can you elaborate on that? How you changed your going to bed, routines?
Oh, my routines would have been maybe watching a movie so I could go and sleep. And maybe even the movie could have been sad or some trash show.
It had to be sad?
No, it's not always.
To feed yourself, it had to be.
just to be in that pain,
I love you.
No, and sometimes we get used to so much pain that we just want to stay with that. But
because that's familiar, and that's what we know, and it seems like that's all you knew. So to you, that was familiar.
Exactly.
Even though it was bad, you just returned to it constantly. You didn't understand why. It's like a magnet.
Yeah, and even the movies, everything. So that's why we need to get familiar with the truthful things, with the things that are good for you. So even my movie things that I watched changed. So what I did in the evening was, or what I have been doing is I listen to Christian musics, where it says good, which has good lyric. And I put on that in the beginning, and sometimes I just turned on, I read before I slept, also Bible verses that, for example, angels are taking care of me, that I am being safe, that I will have good dreams, I will have godly dreams, and when I wake up, I can stand on my feet with no symptom of panic. So that changed, and people saw that as well.
Did you have to take medication for anxiety before? I wondered if you did.
I did, but by the day I actually met Dr. Charles, I had this knowing that it's okay for me to put it off.
Yeah.
I knew, and I talked also with the psychiatrists and stuff, and they were fine with it, but I put it away. And it was so good. I did that. For me, it was good. So I put that away as well. But so my mornings began to change. I would wake up and would not have panic attack. And I would go to sleep and not have like 5 nightmares. I would begin to have less nightmares. And so my surrounding, I began to change. And my friends saw, oh, she is changing. What? Hiran does not react this way on that stuff anymore. And I saw that I'm not a roller coaster of mood anymore, but it was like that. More steady, going up
and up.
Going. So that was number 4 for me. Look at your surrounding. Look what needs to be changed. And by the way, the mind, the minute when battle comes, it comes through the mind a lot. The minute when battle comes and those bad thoughts come or try to come up again, what I did, I said, no. I saw like a red flag where it says, no, stop. I imagined. So I said, no. The Bible says we take the thoughts captive. And so I was like, I'm going to take this thought captive. I'm thinking the good thing. And so this is what I did. The battle in the mind. And I spoke then.
Wow.
This is very strong to speak. And then
how
you hear.
long did it take you to change that? How long did you take up this new routine until you actually began to see changes?
Actually, after 1 week, I already saw some kind of change innerly.
Wow.
But I would say after a month or 2, I could see it was beginning like a seed you're sowing.
Yes.
And then you water it with those good and positive things. And then I saw like a small sting coming out.
Yeah.
I'm talking in a symbolic way.
Of course.
So after a month, I could say that I saw the changes.
That's a relatively very short time, though.
It was very short,
but many years that you have spent in this state.
Yes, and it was changing, and I was like, "What is happening to me?" And then I filled up myself more and more with those positive things. And with my life, things have been always extreme. So it was extremely fast, but it was extremely good.
Yes.
And it was also extremely maybe not easy at the beginning because you are making changes. And I'm just being honest with you. It was not that easy. But my will was, okay, I have this purpose. And whenever I would start to shake innerly, I would have my purpose. I wrote down, what is my purpose? So when I would look at it, I would remember, and even the Bible says it, write down your purpose or your vision. So when people read it or when you read it, you can run with it,
Yes.
And this is what I did. And this is number 4. And number 5, I would like to share with you is know that all those successful people that are in the world, they had challenges too.
Exactly. So you're not alone in that.
You're not alone. Everyone has challenges.
Everybody has, yeah.
Everybody has challenges. What was the difference with their life? Usually those very successful people did not have an easy life before.
Yeah.
But their will is what changed them. And the most important thing, and this is what Dr. Charles also teaches, that to be an original. Don't try to be someone else. And when I was coming to Germany, I thought I have to change so much of myself. that because people did not understand. And I'm a person, I like to laugh a lot, or I'm a bit maybe louder than some Germans are. And I was like, okay, maybe I have to be more quiet, you know? And I was like trying to change myself. But then I realized I can be an original. Look at those people that has been successful. And we come back to the willpower. Your willpower is so strong if you feed it. And know that those people who have been successful, they had challenges too.
Very much so.
Yeah. And number 6, this is very easy. Speak to yourself, honor yourself. And one mentor a few months ago told me, if you don't speak faith or positivity, then shut up.
Yeah, so it's either faith or nothing else.
Yes.
Very true. I think it's very wise. It's very wise.
Very easy. Then shut up. You know, if you know out of your mouth now will not come something positive or something that is needed right now, really, then shut up.
True.
So
usually we don't make much mistake by not speaking. It's usually when we open our mouth, that's when we get into trouble, isn't it?
Yes, without filtering, you know, without filtering. And when we start to also differentiate what am I speaking, what am I not speaking, again, it's back on number 4. Then number 6 is being much easier to shut up and not to speak when it's not faith or positivity, which is out of the heart and out of the spirit. And one other thing that I like to share with you guys, because in the past, I thought I'm doing this thing. I thought it was like all from the outside things would come. And I thought this is myself. And I let it to be myself because it was coming from the outside. Because I changed then my outside to another position, I was being changed. So I became more and more that person of my surrounding.
They shaped you.
It shaped me like a vessel, a clay, you know. And I became a new person. And you know, I have gained so much joy, like really so much joy. Like out of this, it took me. It was 2017 it began. I met Dr. Charles 2018, and 2019 was like in March. It was like, oh wow, the biggest battle has been won. And by the way, I did a psychological test exam, how they would see what the things have been, because my the results in the past, like all of the traumas and also other stuff, has been so bad, like a very high level. And then I did a test again, and they were all in normal range.
Wow. So you're certified. The doctors can certify that you were in.
They certified it, yes. It was all in normal range. Like every single thing was in normal range.
Absolutely wonderful.
And it helped me. So when I started to honor myself, I could actually really, and to start to love myself, I could begin to really love other people. And this is what you said with the mask. I remember, and it's still a process. There are some stuff challenges I'm still on. my battle is not over, but this big battle from trauma to victory has been won, because I started to help myself first with this mask out of the plane. When it says help yourself first, then you help the others. And this picture, to the last few times we have spoken as friends, has helped me a lot to remember that. So honor and love yourself in a healthy way. How actually read the Bible, and you will know what love means. First Corinthians, I can tell you guys, First Corinthians chapter 13, you can look, like the whole book, it's actually a love story. And a love story with good spoiler. It's this being like, you can be victorious, and you are victorious when you see the ending, and just honor yourself. You see what comes out of it, that you honor other people, because the way you see yourself, the way you're gonna see others as well.
Very true. And also the Bible says you should love yourself. You should love others as you love yourself. And there's a clear implication that if you don't love yourself, you are not able to love others. Yes. I have seen a lot of people who are, for instance, not loving at all. And until the point I understood that they are really not mad at me per se, they're mad at themselves. Because they're treating others the way they treat themselves, or even worse. Actually, most people treat themselves worse than they treat others, because they try to, kind of filter their behavior or their looks or their, their even their words. But really, the root of the problem is that they are not respecting themselves. They don't love themselves at all. In fact, they are mad at themselves, probably for past failures or for whatever reason. But until that thing is solved, they are not able to love others either. So I'm glad you touched on that point, because I think many people don't see the cause and effect, which is what you said, that you need to love yourself first. You need to be kind to yourself first, and you need to be forgiving. I mean, most people think that, what, I have to be tough all the time. I have to, I just have to perform the best. And sometimes you're not able to. So you have to forgive yourself, per se.
Oh, yes.
You have to forgive yourself for all these, quote unquote failures, which is not failures. You just set the bar too high for yourself. So if you went through a lot of trauma, obviously you will not be able to perform on the level that you should be able to perform. So for that, don't fault yourself again. No, forgive yourself and allow yourself to heal. Is what you're saying?
Yes, forgive yourself, and also yourself and others. Actually, you reminded me then it was also in that process area of 2017-18 where I began to forgive those people that actually killed my uncle. It was an inner thing. It was a decision. It was not that I felt like it,
of course,
but it was this decision that I said, okay, I'm going to forgive them. And then also I forgave myself, where I began to write down those critical things. And number 2, I mentioned, when I also wrote down that I am forgiving myself for also hurting people, because out of this hurt, I would hurt people not willingly, and so I forgave myself. This is very important, as what you mentioned, to forgive yourself and to move on, and to take it as a lesson, but to see the future as a bright chance.
Well, number one, that you see yourself, that you have a future.
Yes.
Because when you have so much death around you, whether it's perceived or real, and in your case it was very real, you probably don't see much future for yourself either, because you constantly identify with the people who have left.
Yeah, true. And I asked myself in the past, why am I still living? And there were other thoughts as well of not wanting to live, because I was so much surrounded by death and stuff.
Of course.
So my perspective had to change. My purpose was, I'm going to live, and I'm going to live a successful life. And I will be good for myself and for others.
You know the scripture, the Holy Spirit just reminded me of it. I shall live and not die.
True.
You know that scripture? I shall live and not die. Somebody in the Old Testament, I have to look it up later on and send it to you. I shall live and not die, and I will proclaim God's praises, or something like that. But I have to look it up. But I was just reminded of that. I shall live and not die. So if you have suicidal thoughts, I need to tell this to the audience. If you know someone who has suicidal thoughts, or if you yourself has suicidal tendency, or even just thoughts, bring this scripture home to you and just proclaim that I shall live and not die, and proclaim the greatness of God. because that's what our purpose is on this earth, to live and not die and to proclaim his greatness. And right now this is what you're doing with your, by sharing your testimony. You proclaim God's greatness, who has brought you out of that horrible place and set you up indeed on the mountaintop, because that's all I ever knew about you, that you're happy, joyful, loving, easygoing. And I would have never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined that you came from from such a background. So that's a beautiful testimony in and of itself.
Thank you. Yes, and that's support. And praise God. And it has been a process of a few years, but it was the willingness. And then I saw the fruit out of it. Like, I have a ministry, the ministry grew, like this studying even with finances, with working.
You are running an empire. We have to say this to the audience.
Yeah.
Yes. You have a beautiful, huge empire. You're very well off, very, 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 God has blessed you tremendously, but you were doing all of that while you were traumatized. So now that you're not, it's even more expanded, isn't it?
Exactly. It is like a fire in the
wildfire.
Like a wildfire, and also the joy, like people sometimes, like, out of like just smiling at someone else, it can change lives, sometimes. Like, I'm at a cashier and I had like an experience few weeks ago. Just the smiling changed her whole being. Or another time, a person wanted to give my car a ticket, and there was so much love in me that I was not angry at it. And actually, I gave her a card.
What happened? What just happened? True. That's probably not what the person expected, right?
Yeah, true. And I gave her a card where it says, "You're worthy." And she began to cry.
Oh.
She began to cry and said, "Wow, thank you that you're saving my day." And I said, "Hey, you're loved and you are worthy. And thank you for doing this job, because I think it's one of the most unthankful jobs. When people see that ticket, they don't jump and say, 'Oh, thank you that someone gave me that ticket.' But they are doing job, and so things are in order, because order is good. That's another subject for another time, but order is good. And by the way, out of those things in my life has become very much ordered in a very good way. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my story.
Thank you so much for sharing. How did your parents respond to how you have changed? Did they notice the difference?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because you go back off and on. We have to tell the audience, you go back off and on to visit them, of course.
Yes, I have been visiting my parents, and also my cousin. She is very near to me. So she was like, on those years when I went back, I was not getting angry that quick. I was just joyful. I did not, I did not lose my temper that easily. There was some changes they saw, and I shared especially with my cousin, because our culture is a bit different with talking. I am like friends with my parents, but especially with my cousin, I shared some stuff, and also with my friends that are from Kurdistan, Iraq. If they see that, sending my love to them, they saw the changes. One of my best friends saw over the years how I have changed, and she's happy about it. So.
What a testimony, because, for yourself, of course, your life has changed completely, but you don't know how many people it touches. Mm-hmm. So you getting yourself in order, it's just like a wildfire, just like you said. You don't know how many people it touches, how many people it just ministers to.
Yeah.
Gives them hope that, if you were able to come out of that horrible place, that pitfall, really, then they can do the same.
True. How much more can you? I say, like, and I don't know, maybe you have experienced even worse, but I'm just telling whoever is watching, and maybe you're gonna watch it and you have not experienced that many bad things, but I know there are always challenges. This is life. Life happens. But maybe someone, but how much more if God has given me the strength to do it, and my will that came along with But because God does never push us and say, you have to do this and that.
That's
We
right.
don't have God like this. Jesus is not like that. But if you are willing, God is much more willing, and things will change. And if I could change, how much more can you?
That's right. And it
Yeah.
doesn't really, it doesn't really take a long time. You said it's like several months, really.
Yeah, several months. And then now after 2-3 years, like few years, you can really change, see another person. So am I going my whole lifetime with this wreck, or am I gonna change few months? Let's say for you it's gonna take a year. With a year, what are you exchanging?
Yeah, you're changing your sorrows into joy. That's
Yes.
what you.
Yes, and it's the source has been changed, you know.
Yes, exactly. Because now you are no longer drinking from that fountain of death, you are drinking from the fountain of life, which is Jesus Christ.
Yes, yes.
So
yes.
that's the difference. And all the people that you are touching with your testimony, and touching just by smiling, just by being you, that was all worth it. That was all worth it, because that's what God turned your test into a testimony.
True. He turned it. And there's the song, what the enemy meant for evil, he turns it for good.
Very true.
He did it for good. And this is how I that God actually, when I look back, I'm so still thankful for everything, because it can help others.
It exactly.
Although it happened.
That's a beautiful way to look at it, because you are already not selfish.
Yeah.
Because when you look at what all the good things that can come out of it, you know that you're not selfish, because you're not just looking at yourself, or let alone you're not feeling sorry for yourself. You're looking what a beautiful thing it can be in God's hand. And that's another thing that I'm glad you touched on, because many people just seem to be, the things they go through, and we don't discount them, of course. Everybody's mountain is the biggest. So wherever people come from, sometimes what happens, you can fall into that pit of feeling sorry for yourself, as opposed to looking out of that situation and see how God can just put it into God's hand, and just see how God can turn these things around. And whether you are alone, then he will bring people into your life, or whether you're feeling alone in a relationship, or whether you're feeling alone in a whole family, or even in a whole congregation, it's possible that you feel alone and lonely, even though you're not alone per se. However, God can change that situation just by you turning your problems over to him. And that goes also for Christians, because obviously not even Christians are exempt from, all these traumatic experiences, especially if it happened before they got saved. So that's a good point to touch on.
Yeah.
There's hope for everyone.
It's a hope for everyone, and it helps others. And how, no matter what you are going through, I don't know to who I am speaking now, no matter what you are going to, start by thanking. And this is also one of the number 4 thing, when I said begin to change your surrounding and thoughts. I started to thank what I have. I started to thank, and to make also thankful lists. That helps a lot. So start being thankful, because out of this thankfulness, a lot will flow.
Yes, very true.
And the Bible says, actually, thank God in all times, not just the time where you're happy clappy, but in all times, And this, I can say, out of that, it has done me well, and I'm sure it will do you well as well.
It changed your mind and your perception of things completely, didn't it?
Yeah, the perspective. It was like looking at from the other side.
Yeah, a different perspective.
Yes, and thankfulness changes your perspective. I don't mean say thank you that this is happening this way. Just start thanking what is right now. Like even having opened your eyes, that you woke up today. Start writing down and say, hey, I am thankful for that.
That's very true, especially in this day and age when people have different situations and for whatever reason
Yeah.
they die. But the point is that even young men, so it doesn't seem like it's not even an age thing anymore. Obviously,
Mhm.
we know the
Mhm.
reason, but we're not going to say it here because we're going to be censored. But the point is that, many people didn't wake up this morning, but you did. And the reason why you are still alive in this earth, because God has a purpose for you and he wants to use you for his good purposes. So I just want to encourage you that just like Hiran said, don't discount your life just because people have left you one way or another. You are here for a reason. And don't ask, why am I still alive? I don't want to be alive. Be alive. You are here for a reason, and find that reason. If you don't know that reason, ask God to show you that reason, because he is faithful and just, and he will show you that reason for which purpose he created you and for why you're still walking in this earth. And it's really a better approach than feeling sorry for yourself and looking inwardly and say, you know what, I just give up because everybody else left, and my best friend left, and nobody's discounting those situations that happen to you, but that's not the way out of the problem, is it?
True, of course. And stop the negative parties.
Yeah,
Start
exactly.
start the positive parties,
Exactly.
because there is hope. And as I could say, experience, life has been short for many other people.
Yeah,
Use your time while you are here wisely, because it's a gift, and start to see your life as a gift.
exactly. Which is what it is. It's a gift.
It's a gift. It is a gift. And
Every day is a gift. That's why it's
yeah,
called present.
yeah, every day is a
We
gift.
are
Yes.
living in the present because
In the
this is
present
a
time.
gift.
Yeah. Yes. I think, I don't remember who it was. It was saying, to be born, what is it called? When a person is born and they don't have much, and to be born in poverty is not your fault, but how you're gonna die, and in what way, in a way of life, of lifestyle, it is in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
What you do out of it. So let's say you had a not good start, but the end is actually in our hand.
That's right. We have the power to change our lives, is what
We
you're
have the power to change our life, because God already gave us those promises. We only need to step on those steps.
That's right. One more question. Where did you get those steps from? Did you come up with those steps on your own?
Not on my own, no. Only I came up out of the experience, but also, as I said, in the Bible. I read in the Bible, and I also listened to people that know the Bible. One of the example, Dr. Charles, and some other speakers. And then I wrote down all those steps, and I started to see, okay, does it work? How can I apply it in my life? And I still do those steps, and this is where I got it from. So from the Bible, and also some motivational speeches, I can say, but mostly from the Bible, because it's alive.
That's right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we can suggest to people, that they need to sit down, look at where they are and look at where they want to be. And if there's a difference between the two, or much distance between the two, what they can do is they must go to the Bible, find out the steps they can take similar to yours. First of all, make a plan, isn't it? Make a plan. I want to get better. What are the areas that I want to improve myself in? And then find those steps, what you have to take, even physically. You might want to educate yourself better. You might want to change your surroundings, just like what you said. You always want to change your intake, as like what you feed your soul with, is what you're saying. What you feed yourself in, the movies you're watching, the books you are reading, the teachings you're listening to, whatever intake you have, that's where it starts. Because if you put junk in, junk will come out, isn't it?
Yes.
You cannot give what you don't have. You can only give what you have. And in order to have it, you have to have the intake, isn't it? So you must be very selective.
Totally. And one of my ministry, it's called At Truth. When you put truth in it, the lie has to go.
Yes, exactly.
They
You
can
replace the lies with truth.
replace, it's like with light. When the light is there, there is no darkness right away.
Right.
When you put truth in your life, when you sow truth, it means reading, hearing, speaking. That means sowing in a symbol. When you put truth, the lie has to go.
That's right. So replacing your mind games.
Yes,
The mind
renew.
games that keep repeating the same sentences, which are not positive but very negative, based on your personal experiences in the past and based on things that people have told you, or something that you have read or you have seen. They don't have to stay with you. Those thoughts don't have to stay in your mind.
True.
You have a way out, and you have to replace those thoughts with truth. If you, what kind of thoughts that people can just that, give you examples? What kind of thoughts?
Others are better than me. I cannot do this.
I'm not good enough, basically.
I'm not good enough. Comparing yourself. Oh, for example, you're learning a like you're just doing guitar, and you're like, oh no, my friends are much better. I can never make it. This is a bad thought. You're gonna change that thought to, I am learning, and I will do even better. Or I'm learning, and I will do it also with joy. It is, this is so nice. Life is so creative. We can be so creative.
Yes.
Or for example, today is gonna be a good day. Like in the past, I would say, oh my goodness, this day is gonna start bad, and this person will leave me, and this person will not talk to me. Like, it was really like that. I started to say, this is gonna be a good day. I will walk joyfully and happily in it.
Exactly.
And people will feel comfortable around me. And what I gained is actually that.
Exactly. And I can test.
So train yourself. It's a training. Life is a training. It's a good training.
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole life is a training, for a boot camp for eternity.
Yeah, boot camp for eternity. Yes. But it's worth it. It's worth it. And
yes,
I can say I'm such a happy person, and I love life. Although in the past I had suicide thoughts and everything else, I know what I'm talking about. So I love life, and you can love it too, even more.
That's right. No matter what you came from, where you came from, you don't have to stay there. No matter how deep you are right now, you don't have to stay there. And your past will not determine your future, right?
No, it will not. When you start today to be honest and to be humble to yourself and to say, I'm gonna make a change.
And you have to stick with those things, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. And
there are discipline to do it day in and day out.
Yeah, and maybe you need someone that a mentor would help. People would say, okay, or friends. Like sometimes I said when I wanted to make some changes, hey friend, if you see me talking this way, remind me.
Yes, that's a very good one.
Just remind me.
When an accountability is always a good one.
Yes, and even today, until today, and I will, until the day I live and I die, I will always want to be a learner and to have someone above me that I am keeping accountable to. And I'm so thankful. I have had so good mentors. And of course, there has been mentors I had to differentiate. That's another subject for another time. But the good mentors that has been around me. So, yeah.
One more question. How did your friends react when you had to kind of distance yourself from them, those who were not positive to your life?
Of course, they thought it has to do with them. Few friends. They thought, like with few, I said, hey, it's a time where I need to concentrate on some stuff. Some friends got it, and there's still a distant friendship. And some friends, they are by themselves, also another position because they were also running that race. So we're still friends. And there are some friends that were not happy and also that are not in my life anymore. And even family wise, there has been people where I had to distance myself, and it just like it went off, and some of them were angry, but I'm just encouraging you guys, you will always have people that are getting angry at some stuff, so live your life.
Exactly. But I think I do want to touch on that because I don't want people to be surprised when they
Yes.
make some of those steps, take some of the steps that you have mentioned or we have
Mhm.
mentioned, and then they come, kind of encounter oppositions. So it's
Yes,
possible that your friends will not like the fact that you want to change, right?
of course, of course. And it may be, for example, very easy. You have friends, they talk things, and they are one of the in the past, like in the culture, like with when you're at the same age, you can do jokes and say bad things to each other, and it would I started to stop that. And people were like, why are you doing this? You're not yourself anymore. And I was like, yeah, I'm not
Praise
myself
God.
anymore.
That was
Yeah,
the goal.
this is the point. But it was not also pleasant at the situations. You
Yeah.
know, I have to explain. You might come to a position, but don't try to explain that much yourself.
Uh-huh.
So you are in a circle and just explaining to that person, you can say it in a way, hey, there are changes. I want to go forward in my life, and I want to be careful how I use my words.
Exactly. That's
So
a
some
very
people did not like it. And I would say with some people, I'm not friends anymore because they did not change.
Mhm.
And they did not like it. And of course, at the beginning, they were like, okay, what's going on? But now they see my life, and they see what it came out of it.
That's a wonderful testimony. Were people who were actually changing with you?
There are, yes, friends,
But
yes.
isn't that nice that even in that situation when you were at the probably at the deepest, you were
Yeah.
able to influence others for the better?
Yes, yes. Like one of my friends that I'm working with in the ministry, she has been challenged by me. So I have been also a training area for her. But also she has been changing, and she sees the fruit of it, and it's nice because we have been fighting with each other and going.
Yeah. So basically, she herself was propelled to another level.
Yes, because she was willing to. She wanted.
Exactly. So
She
willingness is
wanted.
a very key factor.
Yes, she wanted to change too, and then I was like, okay, you want to change? I'm going to those places. Come with me as well. I'm listening to those people. You can listen to it as well. And then also her life changed in another way, and in a much better way.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes, yes.
But what I have experienced also, because we have to disclose that also to the audience, that
Mhm.
sometimes what happens is that people don't want to change. Your friends don't want to change, and you can try as you want to, as
Yeah.
hard as you want to. It does take initiation from their perspective, and also it takes effort on their part. As you always say, you can take the horse to water, but you cannot make it drink,
Mhm.
right? So it has to be a willingness
Yes.
and a consistency day in and day out, because it didn't take
Yeah.
you 1 minute to the next, but it took you very, very quick actually, because you wanted it so much. And I
Mhm.
can relate to very much to that story, in a sense that there were things that I wanted to change very fast, and I'm not exactly a patient person. So, and I think the least patient we are is we are with ourselves. So that's the other thing, we have to be patient with ourselves. You didn't get to that pit hole from overnight. It
No,
took you some time to get there, right? So
of
it
course.
probably will take you some time to get out, but it starts with your willingness. It starts with your willpower. It starts with you want to be changed. And I remember people who kind of started out with me on a spiritual journey, but they were not that hungry to change. They had a lot of stuff as well they needed to change about themselves as well. But however,
Yeah.
I was more determined, and because of that, I pretty much went higher that they have.
Mhm.
And I remember that people were, and probably still are, they don't really like the fact that I got, to a higher point from, from certain perspective than they were, because they were aiming to that situation. They were aiming also to that, aspire to that greatness as well. But they did not stick with the course.
Of
So
course.
that can be applied also to this situation. If you're, you might starting out with friends who also claim that they want to change. And I don't doubt that they want to change. Of course, they want to change, but they don't want it very much. They don't want it as much as you do. So sometimes what
Yes.
happens, and I can talk from my experience, and I'm sure, people can relate to us. Sometimes what happens is that they try to hold you back, isn't it? They try to hold you back because they don't see much change in themselves. It's like, I don't want you to get ahead of me either. If I can't make it because of my, willingness or unwillingness, that is, then I want to hold you back. And what do you do at the time when that happens?
Um, that happened, and I mean, in my life, people
When
like that.
people try to hold you back.
That happened, and you need to make again the decision. Is my purpose worthy enough for me? It might take cutting that people out or cutting those things out, and it can hurt.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's pleasant for the time. It can hurt, like you're cutting a flesh out, like you're
Yes.
cutting.
Because somebody is part of you over the
Yes,
years.
of course, of
But then
course.
you
And
have to sometimes sever that relationship.
yes, and people, there are people, there has been people in my life that they could not, like they were even mentors, like but not in a good position. But I had to make the changes. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to distance myself, and it did hurt for them maybe, and then for me as well at the beginning, because it was not familiar, of course,
Yeah.
but at the end, is this yourself or this purpose you have worthy enough that you are going to make those changes?
Yeah.
Even when people do not like it, even when your own parents might not like it,
Yeah.
you still honor them with your heart. But
so many times we have to go against the flow, is what you're saying.
yeah, and it does not mean you are against them. But for a time, I say life is a journey, and with some people you walk for a time, and for the others a longer time, and for others it might be just saying hi and bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
life is a
relationships,
journey.
during the course of this journey, relationships can change. Maybe you
Yes.
were very close to someone, but because of the person is, unwilling to change and grow with you in your new journey, maybe that relationship becomes a little bit more loose, and maybe, even more over the years. And that's perfectly all right. And you don't have to fault yourself for it or the other person necessarily.
Oh,
But the point is, you want to, as you said, Hiran, we have to fix our eyes on the goal. What is our goal? We want to become like Jesus, don't we?
yes, focus
So
on the mission.
so whoever is breaking your focus, it's wise for you to, kind of revisit that relationship in a way that you kind of sit down with yourself and say, you know what, am I going to let myself be derailed by that person because I love the person so much? Or am I going to follow my dreams? My dream is to be happy, healthy, and whole. So is the person helping me in that journey, or is the person in fact holding me back? And many times you have to face with the fact that the person is holding you back, whether the person wants to or not. But the fact you have to, I mean, at the end of the day, the bottom line is, am I being helped by this person, or am I being held back? And then you have to make a tough decision, and you might have to sit down and talk to the person. You know what? I feel like you're holding me back. And interesting, I used to date someone many years ago who was a very successful person, very successful. He's a musician, a classical musician, still to this day. He's one of the best, in fact. And he was fine with his success, obviously. Lots of money, tons of traveling, still today. And I can honestly say that I'm very happy for him, always was. I'm very proud of him and all. But and I was very successful locally in this country, in another field. I was working in the media.
Mhm.
I was very successful. I got as far as I could,
Wow.
honestly, without knowing anybody. I mean, obviously I didn't make
Mhm.
compromises like other people. So
Yeah.
what I got it because of my own merits. So I just want to say that. But the moment doors began to open for me more and more to be successful in the world, like globally, the person had a problem. Isn't it interesting? As long as I was successful locally, he was fine. He was proud of me. He was, we went to, like
Mhm.
social gatherings together. I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
we were like, press conferences, opening shows, Formula One after parties. He was happy with that. So success was fine as long as I wasn't more successful than he
Then.
was. In my opinion, I don't think I was more successful, than he was, but the way he perceived it, just became a problem immediately. And it didn't come out of, the person outwardly saying these things to me, like, you know what, I have a problem with you. Because even if I would have addressed it, head on, he would have denied it. I don't even know if he was even aware of that, the root cause. But looking back, I was very much aware of that. And it's like almost I didn't want to tell about my my latest success. Usually you would discuss it with your friends or with with your boyfriend, girlfriend, or someone who's close to you.
Yeah.
And you would discuss it, and then you would share, today this was what happened, and by the way, this and this and this thing happened, and then it's all good. And I found myself kind of holding back good news that was good news to me, because I know the person would not be genuinely happy. He would act like he would be happy, but I know he
Yeah.
wasn't really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes you can encounter, obviously I ended the relationship because the person would hold me
That's
back,
good.
really.
Yeah.
I mean, to
Yeah.
his thing. And then of course I moved abroad as well, but to be even more successful. So I don't know if
But that's
how
smart. You
well he
did
could
it.
have taken that. But I see what you're saying, that many people don't want to come on the journey with us. They would prefer that we would stay where we were, where they could be, I don't know, kind of, I don't know, like kind of like over us in some circumstances, or in some kind of a, I have no problem with a successful person. I root for the person if the person is successful in the right thing, mind you. So I have to add that part.
Yes.
But it's amazing that how many times people who see your success, and if they are not comfortable within themselves and not genuinely um, just standing on firm ground inside, then it will come out in a way where they would be actually jealous of you, jealous of your successes, jealous of your changes. There was a lot of changes happening around all the time. And as long as it was local, he was proud. But the moment, it became more and more international, he had a problem. So it's like, okay, I guess our journey just ended, our journey together just ended here, because I cannot have someone in my camp who is not rooting for me.
Mhm.
Whether it's a friend, whether it's a boyfriend, whether it's a family member, as I always say, some people, I mean, we love everybody, but some people we just love from a distance. And it's
Yes.
not because of us, but because of their attitude.
Mhm.
And it's interesting that some people are not even honest with themselves to say that, you know what, I have a problem with this and this and this and this and that
Yeah.
about you.
Mhm.
Oh, no, I don't have any problem. I'm so happy for you. But you can tell that the person is really not happy. And it
Of
comes
course.
out in another way. So with this particular person, we had so much fun, and it was, great. We were, going to different places and concerts and things like that. And he was happy with that. But then, when things began to like open up for me even more and more and more, he just became panicky. He just
Wow.
became so panicky.
Oh my
And it's
goodness.
like, it was a shock to me, because you would have never thought that a person who is so successful, high, on a very high, success ladder, would have any problem with the significant other being also successful. But then again, he did. So then, and that's why I had to make a decision. So, you know what? I don't think we have much in common anymore, because if you cannot be genuinely happy with me changing for the better, then you are not my friend, really, and you don't belong in my future.
Mhm.
And that's the end of that. And whether he understood it at the time or not, I don't really know. Probably not.
Yeah. But and it was not easy in the beginning, right, for you?
Well,
Like,
I knew, but I just like what you said, I knew where I was going to, and I always knew that I'm going to have my mission in life priority, no matter what it takes. And I have decided it long time ago. Similarly, before I got the offer to work with Apostle Charles Sandeep, I had another offer. I mean, the stating can be there. This is like almost like another conversation for another day. But really, it's very fascinating to see how many people come against you when you are
Oh,
right
yes.
at the door of stepping into something that God wants you to step. It's a journey, and some people are with you, and some people are not going to be with you. And as I said, even yesterday on yesterday's discussion, that some people are rooting for you even without knowing or understanding fully where you're going, but they just have this genuine heart, and they understand that where you are going to is a good thing. It's a good thing for you, and this is where you should be going. But I also know, in fact, family members, close family members from my family. I have a big family, so I'm not going to name any names. But whether the person knows it or not, I don't think the person even understands it, or even realizes how deep this opposition is in him. But I have noticed that I you can always sense when somebody is genuinely happy for you. You can always sense that you can tell yourself who are the people, and I must say very few people that are in my life anyway, that I can actually share my successes with. It doesn't matter what I did, whether it's movie or or something else in any other field, or this show, for instance. Most people in my family I never share this with, because I know that they would not understand it. They would say, at the very least, it's a waste of time. At the very least, and why don't I do something more important, which I also do. But then again, I took upon this responsibility as well, to everything else that I'm doing,
because you see the need.
Yeah, and because God has put this in my heart. But that's the other thing. If God doesn't put it on their hearts, they don't have to understand it. What they have to do is to be genuinely happy and supportive, because that's all that's required of them. So maybe that's also one of the things that why people kind of stand up against your successes or your changes, because they feel like they are no longer needed, or they think that they are no longer needed, because you got to go into obviously uncharted waters, uncharted territories where they are not familiar with. They've never been there. They don't know what's going to be there. They don't know who is going to be around, and they are afraid of losing you because of all the changes that you are implementing. Of course. So that's something that I have experienced with this particular family member, that he all of a sudden he felt like, you know what, she no longer needs my advices. I can't say with all honesty that I always needed the advices, but he gave them anyway, so whatever. But now I really don't. I got to the point where I don't want to hear his advices, because they're never good. You understand? They are coming from his head, and I don't need head knowledge at this point in my life. So I had to tell this particular person that you need to stop. You need to stop giving me unsolicited advices.
Wow.
This is just, I had to put my foot down, because I know it's very detrimental for me. I would read these long letters, with caps, and all this, and, underline this and that. And none of them was good. And the person has no clue what I'm doing really.
Wow.
Why I'm doing it, what the dream is, what the goal is, what God gave me, what the vision, nothing. So from that perspective, how on earth can you honestly think that you are in the right position to give me any kind of advice whatsoever? Number one, I never asked for it, so why do you give it to me? Number two, since you know nothing about nothing, how on earth can you be an expert about my life? Yes. So I think some friends are that way too. It doesn't have to be a family member.
Yes.
But it's like everybody wants to kind of pitch in and just put that 2 cents in. And for a time, all right, fine. But then you have to put your foot down, especially if it's a negative thing they keep saying, like, I don't know what you're doing, but this is something bad. How can you say that?
Yeah, well,
I don't know what you're supposed to be doing. What you're doing is not good.
They assume they're just assuming out of the fear, it's
probably
it's just the fear. And when people actually experience that, and it's good that you mentioned that, because it's out of your life, is then it was your focus, your mission was for you, was your mission, was you knew where you're going and heading to.
Exactly.
That even although those thoughts,
and I had no doubt I had
Yeah.
no that. So it's not like I needed the advice of any kind whatsoever, let alone
Yeah.
from a person who's so negative. And it's like you don't know the first thing about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And
Yeah.
I have my man of God to give me advices if I need to. So please stop with this. You're not my man of God. This is our relationships. This is our the extent of our relationship. You are in my life because you are part of my family. But
Sure.
please don't ever abuse that relationship to think that you can give me unsolicited and negative advices. It was almost like it wasn't breaking my focus because I'm not that easily broken, but
Hmm.
it was just unnecessary. It's like, and
Sure, sure.
again, another letter, like every week I receive, and I know none of them is good. None of them is good.
Oh gosh.
It's like,
You
oh
know,
my goodness.
and this is the thing, like, know who, like, you knew it, but know who you are giving the key to speak into your life.
Yeah, very, very true. You need to really
Know
filter
your
the voice
tribe.
you
Yeah.
listen to, because they can really derail you or throw you off or at least give you a bad mood. And you don't need that. I mean, really,
Yeah, true,
you don't
true.
need that. So yeah, all I'm saying is I have experienced some of the things that you must have gone through, because some people were even in the family member are not exactly, I'm not saying they're not supportive, but they have no clue. And if it was up to them, I would probably be
Mhm.
married with 5 children, because that's
Yeah.
probably life, for them. And if someone wants to do that, good for them, more power to them. But that's not my life. And you
Yeah.
either accept it or you keep your mouth shut, because I don't want to hear the oppositions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes what happens is that, when God sets you on a course, it's also sort of like a test.
Of
How
course.
how much are you going to let somebody else derail you? Or are you
Yes.
going to stand the course, even if you have to go alone?
Even if, yeah. And that's the thing. And to of course, until today we have challenges, but since I have been going through those times where I know, okay, I am victorious, I can have a mindset of, change your mindset if you haven't, of knowing you will be victorious.
Yes.
And so that when another challenge tries to come, that I know, okay, I'm gonna master it, because I know my help, I know my ground, I know my foundation now, and I am in the process of, from the Bible says, from glory to glory,
Yes.
And this is where it does me also good for the future,
Exactly.
and it
And you
does.
can honestly say that your life has been going from glory to glory. And I can testify the same, because
Wow.
we
Yes.
we do stand on the same foundation,
Yeah.
with Jesus.
Yeah, and no, and as with friends, because friends and people you hang around with, it's so important. And it's not about how much time you have been spent with people. Sometimes, like, we have met, this is like a divine friendship.
Very
Like,
much
it
so.
just clicked, it
Yeah.
just clicked.
Effortless. It just flows.
It flows, and like, we're living from two different countries,
Yeah.
but we're
Similar flag though. That's a sign. That's a sign too.
That's a sign. Yes, I take it as a sign, of course.
I
But
did.
our location is different right now, but our spirit is the same location.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is the importance.
The
With
connection is
spirit.
in the spirit. And this is something that I shared yesterday, that this is what I have noticed, that when you have a friend who is from God, and you can ask good friends from God and good people to come into your life. So I want to encourage you on that as well. And
Yes.
again, another conversation for another day. But it's just so many. Sorry for rabbit trailing, but there's just so much to talk about and so much to share. But
Yes.
what I have noticed is when a relationship is from God, it's just so effortless. It just flows. And even though you don't see each other like every day, because maybe you are living in different continents, different places, or the time zone is different, like very different. I have friends in Australia, in New Zealand, 10-hour difference, 12-hour difference. It's like,
Wow.
I mean, it's hard to kind of keep in touch, especially if I want to have like a face-to-face. However, we can just pick it up where we left it off at any time. Or some of my family members, like, our CLI, my family members, I don't meet for years. But it seems when we do get together or we do meet in some countries, it seems like we have never, we have not lost any time. We can pick it up where we left off, and that's a sure sign. And I can certainly talk from my experience. It's a sure sign that this is a relationship God protects, because there's no strife, there's no effort, there's no things that I feel like I have to do in order to gain someone's trust, in order to express my love. Love is there, and when love is there, people know it. And obviously we don't have to be best of friends with everybody. We can't be best of friends with everybody, but the people that we're supposed to be best friends with, or we're supposed to be very close with, those relationships are coming from heaven, and those relationships are being revealed as we speak. And this is one of the things that um I know people, and there are many people out there, especially in these days, when lockdowns were happening and isolation, or that people seem to be so desperate to find somebody, either a significant other or a significant friend, which is more, in my opinion, because obviously relationships, liaisons go, they come and go. But in my opinion, true friendships are forever. Given if they can really root for where you're going to. But all I'm saying, I really, really appreciate friendships and value them. But I think some people, and many people, again, from my experience as I look around, it seems like they try to gain someone's trust. They try to accommodate their, weaknesses or even stupidity, just to stay friends, just to stay in that relationship, just to be in that environment, in that surrounding. Because what if I kind of stand out and say, you know what, I don't think I want to use those words anymore. I don't think I want to go to those places anymore with you guys. I know we're friends, but I don't want to go to pubs. I don't want to go to parties, and just even though I may have come up from that environment, I want to change something about myself. And it seems like many people will not root for you, because they still want to go to these places, or because they want to stop but they cannot. And then they want to make sure that you are in the same camp with them, so as not to remind them that they're in the wrong place. So what I'm trying to say is, what happens is that when you try to accommodate those people, I'm just gonna go for once, just to stay with friends with these people. I'm just going to, like seemingly, agreeing with all those things that they lifestyle, just to keep their friendship. It's never a good thing, because those friendships probably were not meant to stay around you anymore. They meant to fall away. Because God will grant you, when you take out that step, and when you take that step, even when you leave your family behind, God is going to give you another family. God is going to give you so much family that you don't even know what to do with. Look around how many people we have internationally. We can really count on those people. We can talk to those people. They are mature. They are loving. They are definitely rooting for us. Whatever we start, they are going to be supportive. There's no question about that within our family, in our extended family, in the Christ Love family. So that's some of the things that I can really encourage people, that if you feel like some of your relationships are shedding, you're shedding relationships, you're shedding, people, they were probably not meant to be with you in your future. So just let them go. It's okay. Just let them go. They will probably go somewhere else, or they might even move or change location or whatever, or they become just so busy. So God has a way of arranging the people that not supposed to be around you, that they would just kind of fall away, by the wayside on their own. Maybe you don't even need to confront them. But those people that you need to be in relationship with, or you need to be in touch with on a regular basis, God will bring, he has the power to bring them into your life. And this has been my life and my experience. I have so many family members that are really closer to me than my earthly family. I love them and I respect them and I spend time with them, but it's on a different level. And I think you can attest to it as well, that it's on a different level. Because you no longer understand certain things about you, So you have to kind of take it down a few notches so that they can kind of relate. And you don't talk about the latest successes you have. No. Because they wouldn't know what to do with it. So it's like, okay, fine. Then I guess we have a relationship on a different level. But I would much rather have, people in my life on a regular basis, people that I keep in touch with regularly, who are on the same level with me, who have the same vision, who share the same dreams as I do. Because those are my real family. Those are the people I can really relate to.
Yeah. Totally. And that's the thing. And you can see the outcome out of it, and what it changes in your life, and what impact it has,
Yeah.
and how you know there's a back. In Kurdish we say that he's a back for me, because
Uh-huh.
like he can,
He has your back. He's got your
he
back.
has your, yeah, he has your back, and it's you can see it, and we can see it, and we come back again to that place. Okay, know your surrounding, know your friends, know who you are spending time and listening to. And this is the first thing I when I advise people, or people that come for my advice, the first question I ask, I'm like, who are you spending time with the most of
Uh-huh.
the, this is the first question I ask. And then they tell me, and then I'm like, okay, is it that you have, can it be that you have this and this and this challenge? And they're like, oh, how do you know? I'm like,
No
well,
wonder. How can I
that's
not
like,
know?
yes, it's 1 + 1, it equals 2,
Yeah.
like, so
I
and
don't think, I think some of the things that happen is that people don't really realize the correlation. They don't realize the cause and effect. They don't realize what
Mhm,
impact their friends have on their lives,
mhm.
and on their goals. Because it's like, if it's almost like, if you don't have the right exposure, you don't aspire for greatness, isn't it? So if you keep
True.
staying with the same friends that you grew up, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, but if you have a different goal, then you might want to change your surrounding. So if
Yeah,
you keep spending time with the same friends, you're most likely going to have the same kind of life and same kind of destiny, quote unquote destiny, that they have. If they have 5 children, you're going to have 6. If they are going to get married, you're going to get married. If they are going to divorce, most likely you will be divorced at the end of the day. So it's like, it does shape us, the friends we choose.
of course, we shape others and they shape us.
Yeah.
And especially when with people with strong personalities, and like, just we do shape people, and sometimes we don't know what kind of impact it has on other people for life, so, or others on our whole life. So again, we're at that point where we say it's important to know your tribe and to know your friends, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much. It was wonderful. Always, I feel like I just spent the afternoon with you.
It was amazing. Thank you so much. It has been such an honor, really, for this subject, to give me this spot and place, just to share that and encourage people. And I love the
Definitely.
show. I love the show, just where people can be open and honest, and you don't have that much. So amazing work. Thank
Well,
you so much.
We should do it soon again.
Yes, we will do on another subject
Yeah, on
and
any
something else.
subject really, because it's
Yes,
also,
yes.
when we are speaking, we are transferring a spirit, and whatever you say, you're
Mhm.
transferring a beautiful spirit. So I
Yes,
know, even by people watching you and your beautiful smile and your words, and just, I mean, it's just music. It just ministers grace to the hearers, and we
yes.
don't have enough of these days, do we?
Yes, yes. We have enough
We are
others.
bombarded with bad news left, right, and
Yeah,
center. But
yeah.
what we need is good news, and a
True.
redemptive story such as yours. So
Yes.
thank you so much for honoring me and my audience
Thank you.
with your presence and with
Thank
your life story. I know it's I don't take it for light. I don't take it lightly, and I don't take it for granted, because
thank
you
you.
shared something out of your experience, and many things that you have shared. You said you were sharing it in public for the first time. So thank you so much for that. I'm very,
Thank you.
very honored. And
Thank you so much.
and we should do this again. It's
Yes,
always the
yes.
case, isn't it?
Thank you so much for everything.
Oh, God bless you. And
God
this
bless
was the PR show, A Strong Opinion in a Strong Voice. And you, my dear Hiran, definitely have a strong voice, and you will go very far with that.